Whoa. All right. What's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Today's the 26th of June, 2025, and this video is titled, Why Eating Wears You Out. There might be some wind noise if and where. We are in the Image Clothing Company, raw and real, okay? Things are just what they are here. We don't have the highest quality things because we're just who we are, okay? I'll talk about each of the four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. I'll talk about where clothing sits, and then we'll get into discussing why eating wears you out. You know how often you eat food and after you feel like you just want to take a nap, right? People call it a food coma. People just are aware that, yeah, often you get sleepy after you eat. It's not just because what you've eaten. It's not just because it takes energy to digest food. There's a lot that goes into it, like the noise that's going into our eardrums if you're listening to this video right now and me filming it, okay? So in the Image Clothing Company, what we do on the main side here is address the human body's natural function. We come at it through the skeletal system. The human body is about a neutral position in all of its joints that it has to reside in, otherwise it just doesn't work, okay? There's a center line to the human being. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw, naturally stabilizing our entire body, have to all stay in the center of 2 feet opposing the center, gripping arches inward, keeping us vertical on Earth's gravity. And we put clothing on our bodies. Clothing has to stay centered, fit correct, where I'll discuss in a minute, and ideally be made from 100% natural materials because our bodies are only 100% natural materials. You know, anything you eat, speaking of eating for this video, if it's not natural, it's just going through your body. Your body's just using excess energy to process something through it that it's not actually going to gain anything from. So, you know, when we eat, it's got to be natural food, otherwise it's just not going to benefit us at all. In fact, it's just going to damage our bodies. Okay, so yeah, we talk about that though. Eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, hydration, breathing, really everything that we do as a human being we talk about because it's about allowing the body to work. That's our key phrase. It's not about fashion. It's not about clothing really, other than just being intentional with it to let the body not be altered. So then we have another fourth of us in the Image Clothing Company music. I show sizing and setups of guitars because we can't alter our hands. Our hands are essentially our shoulders. As our feet are essentially our hips, the human body can only ever work activated as a whole. Anywhere any of it goes, all of it comes. It's just all one thing. And we're doing fine little motor skills when we play guitar, so those neutral wrists need to remain, okay? And also, I just placed music there that I've made. I make some cool music. I'm gonna dress my beard. It's not like evenly trimmed by any means right now. That's just how it is right now. So, in the Image Clothing Company podcast, we're on episode 138 as of last night, which we have deep discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. Okay, I get blunt and bold and raw and real, and sometimes I'm screaming about things, okay? Yeah, we're all on one earth. We're all the same thing. We're just human beings. We have one God. So I just discuss it as it is, but never perfectly because I'm imperfect, as we all are, okay? Another fourth, the last one to mention here, in the Image Clothing Company poodles. We specialize in purebred standard poodles, and we will be breeding them, registering them properly under the American Kennel Club, advocating for registering dogs, breeding dogs proper. We do a lot of things, okay? Letting dogs stay natural. Collars, leashes, harnesses available on InTheImageClothingCompany.com, as well as human being clothing. Same intent, keeping the collars centered, weight-wise, fit-wise, for dogs, leashes, harnesses, same thing, okay? Poodle parade events and main side of In the Image Clothing Company events, where I get together on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company's events with people and discuss the anatomy of the human body, how to allow it to work and all that we do in life, and free modifications in clothing. I'll discuss In the Image Clothing Company and, you know, just get together with people. And then poodle parade events. They're not actual parades, but we get together here in the state of Utah, the United States of America, where In the Image Clothing Company is based, with any size purebred poodle or poodle mix. And I give a lot of information, helping dogs navigate terrain, and man, yeah, a lot of stuff about letting dogs stay natural. We just, you know, have a good time together. And some of them will be called Clean the Creek poodle parade events and similar things to that, where we'll go out and actually clean up trash and just have a good time with the dogs, okay? So there you go. That's the four sides to our company in a little bit of a 5-minute nutshell. There you go. Okay, so we have clothing and it has to sit in the same location. If you're a man or a woman, tall or short, skinny or fat, any age or any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, it's the same. You're just a human being. Tops have seams on top of our shoulders. They need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders, okay? And that's just because our shoulders only ever work behind our head. That's just where they mechanically connect, okay? And then the edge seams of our shoulders should just be right at the edges of our shoulders, as close as we can. It's funny, this shirt's like not exactly as I'm saying how it should fit, but right, keeping short sleeves short, just off the forearms. That's a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. Keeping short sleeves short, so keeping things off the wrists, right? How sleeve cuffs affect body mechanics, another video. Okay, fitting clothing. Pants have to be above the hips entirely. We have hips and they have a lot of function to them. We can't restrict them with pants, so all the way above is where the waistline goes. And then slightly higher in the front than the rear, because that's the only position that we have a neutral pelvis, which is what the hips are called, okay? Yeah, posteriorly tucked, and there you go. Okay, wind noise, and a third time, you hearing it? The wind noise. We have two things we call prerequisites under In The Image Clothing Company. The wind noise. I'm not worried about it, but I understand you're probably really hearing quite a bit of like, you know. Shoelacing. In The Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique is what we titled the only way you can weave a rope across the top of the human foot without altering its mechanics. The wind noise, dude. I've just been battling so much trying to get these videos out. So I'm gonna just keep making the videos. Even though there might be some noise you don't really want to have to sit through. But we tie our shoes evenly over toward the inside as well. Okay, there's two sides to the body. You have to tie a knot on each opposite side, exactly opposite as the other side. And then secondly, we remove all tags from clothing. Anywhere tags are placed in clothing, they're either just causing a physical gap, changing the body's only working position, and or just not allowing musculature to activate, and then you've got the body trying to compensate, but it can't because it's all one, okay? So, why eating wears you out? Here's the thing. We have a body that has a jaw, and it stabilizes the whole thing. The jaw has to stay in the center. Okay, ideally when we chew, our jaw is just going straight up and down, okay? Rather than like all over the place, which happens often. So we need to take small enough bites and sips to where they just fit within the bed of our teeth, okay? As I've talked about past In The Image Clothing Company content. But a big thing with why eating wears you out is because of the position, like that, yeah, but through the whole body that we're in while we're eating. And there's an episode of In The Image Clothing Company podcast titled Eating Truths, one of the first episodes, you know, near the beginning, at least. And, well, there's a lot going on when we eat. So, eating and drinking with the left hand is a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. But when we just think about our body having two sides to it, a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space, okay, the human being, it needs to stay centered while we eat, because while you eat, you are using musculature of your jaw that goes all the way up into your head, okay? You're using face muscles, eyebrow muscles, muscles in your cheeks here. You're using muscles in your neck here, okay? You're using all the muscles that stabilize your head, okay? Like your upper trapezius muscles, the sternocleidomastoid muscles. And then when you're using your hands, now you're using, you know, definitely you can tell your shoulder and your arms, and you have a wrist that needs to stay neutral, okay? And then you have a rib cage, okay? When you're breathing, you still have to breathe. No matter what you're doing in life, you gotta breathe the only way your body can, and there's two lungs opposing the spine and the sternum, two of the things that are in the center of the human being, okay? That I mentioned in the intros when I talk about the center line on Earth's gravity, okay? So, when we're chewing though, our jaw stabilizes our entire body. Our jaw affects breathing patterns so directly, is how I'm gonna word it, because, well, our jaw stabilizes our head on top of our body, and if our head's out of alignment, it goes down to our spine, and our spine goes between our two lungs, And so if your head's to the right, your whole right rib cage is just closed off. And so if you're chewing like this with just your right hand going into your mouth and your jaw's off to the right like this, well, you're breathing. And if you ever think about workouts, or if you've ever seen anybody do workouts or heard about it, or even just like yoga, or you're just trying to balance or, lift something just to move it. And he talked about controlling your breath. Breath is the essence of human life, okay? It goes back to biblical times, as I say. God breathed life into Adam, and then there was the first man, okay? That's really how it was. Check out In the Image Clothing Company podcast if you'd like. But we're always breathing, and then when you're eating, the thing is the musculature. That's why I talk about the workouts and, just like controlling your breath, is because you're using so much musculature when you're chewing, and then you just bring your arm up to your mouth, and that's just using musculature in your arm and your shoulder to hold your hand up, and then your pelvis to stabilize your upper body, but then not just that, your feet to stabilize your pelvis, right? It's your whole entire body when you're eating. So what happens is, if we don't eat centered, and if we're just about always eating with just one hand, our dominant hand, which is almost always the right-handed world, okay? A video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. One of the big reasons why clothing patterns are what they are, design-wise, and just oversized clothing at all will fall to your dominant side, and now your whole body's just imbalanced, okay? But yeah, we need to eat and drink with our left hand as well as our right. But then you've got things like the dreaded collar scene, okay? In the collars of tops, we need an even collar around our neck, keeping collars centered, a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Because if we don't have an even collar, then all the musculature that goes into the head is just going to be imbalanced. And now you're just going to have your jaw imbalanced, stabilizing your head that's become imbalanced from just a collar sitting uneven. And that's just one thing alone. But anything in clothing, right? And so now you're sitting there maybe at a table, which is a position your body doesn't really do, okay? The Truth Behind Sitting is a video we have under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. I talk about sitting in chairs, and it doesn't happen for the human being because we have on our glutes, right underneath them, our hips really, the bottom of them, called ischiums, sit bones, actual solid bones that we're meant to sit on things that are very low, okay? When you get in a chair height, now your hamstrings, which is those big muscles on the back of your upper leg, they're being pressed into by whatever you're sitting on if it's too high to where the muscle's just against it, okay? And then now you've got the whole rear upper part of your leg, which are huge muscles, just being cut into by whatever you're sitting on. And so that deactivates your core, okay? So now we've got so much going on here when you're eating physically that's happening to the body that's not just in the mouth, okay? It's not just about like dental work only, but that in itself, okay? If you've got dental work and your jaw is just not going to mesh even, well, now that's going to travel down to your feet and you're gonna have rotated feet. Okay, so now your whole body's in a twist, and then you're chewing and working all the muscles and grinding down your teeth, just meaning teeth are hitting together to break down food. They just grind down over time, it just happens. Especially if they're imbalanced though, now you're wearing into a patterning that's uneven, okay? Yeah, okay, so drawstrings. You've got drawstrings tied around your waist. How drawstrings affect body mechanics under In the Image Clothing Company's main side is a video of ours, right? You've got a right-handed knot in your drawstring. Your pelvis is going anterior and to the left, meaning forward and left like this. Right foot goes external and your whole body's imbalanced just from a rope around your waist, okay? Shoes tied uneven, right? In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, one of our 2 prerequisites, right? We got to tie our shoes evenly. So the point is, you've got so much going on in your clothing, anything and everything that could be happening that's an imbalance. And while that's happening, you're only using one side of your body probably to eat, okay? So that's why you're getting worn out. That's why eating wears you out. Because then when you're done eating, now you've just gone through basically a workout that's only to one side of your body. And so now you stop eating and you try to like sit up centered, but you've just trained muscles and worn teeth and expanded a rib cage, all imbalanced while you ate. And then now after you eat, your body's like trying to recover. It's not that your body can't digest food without, using so much energy that it makes you fatigued. But that's another thing is, yeah, we got to eat slow, right? You chew thorough with those small bites that fit in the bed of your teeth. You mix your saliva with it fully, because saliva is the body's first form of digestion, and it actually breaks down carbohydrates and fats, which are ironically the two things that people try to stay away from when they're like dieting, right? Well, if you don't allow your digestive system, which starts in the mouth, to just work the way that God designed it to, your food's not going to break down how the body's supposed to break food down, okay? And it's just because you're eating too fast in that case, right? So there you go. I mean, we could get in depth with it as much as we get in depth with it, but the point is clothing. The only fix for human beings' physical problems. I don't try to stretch it because we have a company about clothing, but the human body's designed to work. It's a physical thing. If we place clothing on it and it alters the body, then the body just won't work. There's only one way the human body could ever work, right? There's just one way it could work. I mean, that's it. So there you go. Okay, that's where I'll leave this. Why eating wears you out. Shout out to the wind noise, in all seriousness. And shout out to the people who actually sit through these videos, even though it's stuff like that, you know, wind noise. It's like, man, this is not that high of a quality video, you're thinking maybe, right? Okay. Well, it's about the truth that's within this. You know, it says that within scripture. It's like, those who peer deeply into this, they'll get the truth within it and their life will change, okay? And In the Image Clothing Company won't always look quite how it does now, okay? As I've said, In the Image Clothing Company going forth is a video that I made a few weeks ago. And yeah, things will change a lot. We'll have poodles, and you know, we'll actually be doing a lot of things that you can come involve yourself with event wise, right? Because we're actually not distant as a company. And so yeah, thank you is the point for sitting through this. If you did, because for your sake, seriously, because yeah, eat centered, okay? Keep your spine centered, keep your jaw centered, use each hand, keep your shoulders at even heights, and it has to come from clothing, because you're not going to battle a piece of clothing on you always, especially ropes, right? I mean, you're just not going to be able to do it. No human ever could. So there you go, okay? Check out In the Image Clothing Company poodles. It's going to be awesome, always going to just continue to grow. And check out the other 3 sides of the company if you'd like. Stick around, stop in, check us out, do whatever you do, right? Yeah, cool, thank you. Today's the 26th of June, 2025. As I said, my name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. And there you go. Be intentional about eating, okay? And now you know how to, right? And we'll talk about it as we do. We're In the Image Clothing Company. It's at least my lifelong endeavor. And then if I'm gone, maybe it continues, maybe it doesn't. But yeah, thank you.